So welcome everybody to this very, very special event. It's lovely to see so many of you here. We are expecting His Excellency the Ambassador, but I understand he's been delayed. So we look forward to welcoming him when he can actually arrive. But for those of you who don't know me, my name's Helen Sullivan, and I have the very great privilege of being the Dean of the College of Asia and the Pacific. And as we begin, I'd like to acknowledge and celebrate the lands that we meet on the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, the first Australians of this land. Pay my respects to elders past and present, and also pay my respects to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders with us today. We are here for a very special event, as I say, and this very special event is as a result of a great deal of work by a great many people. But I want to extend a particular warm welcome to Mr. Kompe Kabo, who has generously gifted the college these wonderful, wonderful photographic portraits by Dewi Wuket from the series Invisible Maestros, and also the Ulu's weavings that you see on the chair. We're looking forward to seeing them on permanent display in the college and hearing also today from the artist about the women who made these beautiful, beautiful pieces. And I know that Rose, one of our wonderful college staff members, has been in conversation with Ellie about where we're going to be displaying these remarkable items. And when we do find a place for them, and until Rose agrees, nothing will happen. But when we do find a place for them, you will all be really, really welcome to come and view them in the Coombs building. So the portrayals pay respect to the under-recognised talents and unique skills of the Batak women who weave ulus and the cultural heritage of the Lake Tabo region in Sumatra. It says here in my notes, mention that it's International Women's Day soon. I'd like to say instead that one of the things we really try to do in the College of Asia and the Pacific is acknowledge that we live and work with and for a huge diversity of people. And we try very, very hard to represent that diversity, but also to make sure that we do promote the voices of those who are traditionally underrepresented, and all too often those happen to be women. So for us, I would like to say, and I think I'm confident in saying, that it's always International Women's Day at the College of Asia and the Pacific. And if you have any doubt about that, just look at the number of women in this room who hold positions of power. Anyway, enough of that. I now have the great pleasure to hand over to my wonderful colleague, Dr. Ellie Kent, who has worked very, very closely with the Indonesia Project to bring this fantastic and unique Indonesian study group event to life. It's a wonderful, wonderful collaboration between the school and the Indonesia Project. And Ellie will introduce our guest speaker and artist Dewi and lead us through today's special Indonesian study group. So thank you again all for coming, and Ellie, over to you, wherever Ellie has gone.
Oh, sorry. She's behind.
That's a bit scary.
Sorry, I got stuck. I didn't know which direction to go in. Thank you so much, Helen. It's wonderful to have you here for this event today. And it's wonderful to have all of you here today too. Thank you so much. I'd like to also give a special welcome to the incoming Attaché for Education and Culture from the Indonesian Embassy, Ibu Yuli Rahmawati, who's just arrived. Thank you so much for coming today, Bu. It's wonderful to have you here. So it's my task to introduce Dewi, who will be speaking to you today about her research. Dewi Bukit is a photographer and a lecturer who first began researching ulos weaving traditions of the Batak people in 2017. And during that time, she was taking part in the Badan Ekonomi Kreatif, the creative oh goodness, I've just had a blank. The Creative Economies body in Indonesia, artists teach programs. So the program sent artists out into various parts of Indonesia to teach and study cultural traditions across the archipelago. Since then, Dewi has been building a really strong relationship with the weavers themselves. So the women that you see in these portraits and a number of other women. This has led to many research and entrepreneurial activities and a collaborative effort to empower the weavers to continue their art in an economically sustainable way. So in 2024, Dewi and the weavers were working with the Australian Tapestry Workshop during our residency there. So this work here is one of the results from that tapestry dyed with eucalyptus dyes. From that residency. And then we also featured Dewi's works in an exhibition that we held in Sydney middle of last year as well. So Dewi is going to talk to you about her research today, and we are launching a book that, unfortunately, this happens very often in academic circles. We're launching the book, but we don't have the book yet. So we're launching a book that will appear at some time in the near future, which is the Encyclopedia of Women and Ulos in Batak Country. And this contains 30 profiles of women artists, such as the ones that we have here, their work and their stories and their struggle to maintain their culture in its entirety. And Dewi's going to talk to us today about the importance of Ulos weaving to that culture and the cultural heritage of the Batak people. So I would also just like to extend my thanks to Pak Konfir Kabo for his generous donation of these works to our college. It's wonderful to have these kind of relationships with people who are interested in art and culture from Indonesia and from around Asia and the Pacific. So thank you so much, Pak Konfir. Terima kasih banyak. And now I think we have a short introductory video first, which is a small part of a documentary that Dewi has made, which we will make available for you to watch at a later date, and we'll send the link out to everyone on the mailing list. So if you're not on the mailing list for the Indonesia Project and the ISG yet, then you should pop on the mailing list and we'll send you a link for the documentary. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I'm sorry if my English is not too good because sometimes when I'm nervous I get back in English. My name is Dewi Satika Bukit. I come from North Sumatra, which is in Batak, but Batak Karo, not Batak Toba. I live in Yogyakarta. This is my first book, Invisible Maestro, and the second book will be coming on June, Encyclopedia, because government asked me to wait to launching the Encyclopedia. So my Invisible Maestro, the project helped by funding by Dana Indonesiana, which is LPDP, Ministry of Education, and Project 11 by Converter. So that's about myself. I'm a Master of Photography from Indonesian Institute of the Art Yogyakarta. I've been lecturer for 7 years, but I'm quit because I love to going to the village and teaching small business to do how make a good photo and increase the selling by online. So yeah, and if we can start. Yeah, focusing my research actually in Indonesia. Maybe a lot of people know about Ulos. Ulos, one of the fabric come from North Sumatra, but no one know who behind the Ulos. So this the topic that very important in this first research we call Invisible Maestro. So me and my curator discussed for like maybe 1 year until we decide that what we want to show people how the woman live, how the woman struggling with keep the traditional keep, which is Ulos is one fabric using in like ceremony in Batak nih. So yeah, we want to people can see the woman behind the ulos. So almost 90% who doing weaving is woman. But nowadays, maybe like one of two men do that nowadays. In the last my research, we find the men do also weaving. But yeah, so for the first time I met Ibu Hirim Samosir near Eliken. So this is the woman that I met at 2018, ya, Pak? 18, and then Ibu Samosir, which is and that moment I teach with Bekraf, which is Badan Ekonomi Kreatif Indonesia. I go to Toba and I want to teach them to how to make the good photo with the simple equipment, which is handphone. And then suddenly in the middle of the meeting, Ibu Hirim Samosir say like this one, Ibu, can I tell something to you? I said like, oh, okay, what happened? And she said like, uh, I have a community. It's like 20 people, young women coming in one village we call Onan Ganjang, which is small kecamatan nearby Humbang Hasundutan. Maybe Humbang Hasundutan also is like one small kabupaten, but yeah. And she said like the head of the village, which is in Indonesia we call kepala desa, asked me to make the community of doing weaver, but after Ibu Hirim make the community 20 young women to doing weaver, there's no treat. So they must like he said like we need treat. At the moment when Bu Hirim Samosir say I need treat, I didn't need money. So it is quite different for me because she's not talking about money, but she's talking about treat. So and then after that I say, oh, okay, after this I will going to your house and then I will see the. So in Batak they make it the loom by themselves in traditional way. They go into the hutan forest, yeah, to get the everything they need to make a loom. So yeah, Bu Hirim Samosir is the first woman that I met, and since that day I jump into ulos. So yeah, and when Bu Samosir say like, yeah, we need to weaving because actually in Batak Toba they will going to the pasis. Yeah. Coba. Ya. Thank you Pasis for coming. Terima kasih sudah hadir Bapak. So yeah, usually in Batak they doing farming, but in Gonan Ganjang, where is place Bu Samosir live, is the land is not too good, so they need to weaving. So and I asked Bu Samosir, do you have children? Yes, I have one daughter and four son. And Bu Samosir say like, my old daughter is graduate from one of university in Thailand, master, and then the rest also graduate from university. So Bu Samosir only doing weaving to pay for the university. So yeah, at the moment I said like, wow, it's quite shocking me because it's like a small village, but her daughter son is going to Jakarta, Thailand to do study. So yeah, since that, and then I go back to Yogyakarta, but the problem is every single I try to help to searching some funding or proposal is always fail. I fail until I just coming back, and I asked Bu Samosir, just be patient and then let's see what we can do because they asking about the treat. It's not about money. The problem is in Batak they do weaving a lot, but there's no cotton, so thread. So the fact is, when we are talking with all the people, my research since 2018 until last January this year, the cotton in Indonesia, the thread in Indonesia coming from India, so it's quite expensive. And then they have two kind of thread. They call like benang 100 and then benang Palembang. So benang 100 it come from India. So import from India and then coloring in Indonesia in Batak and then they buy. And the another problem is because they selling the ulos by third party, so the price is quite cheap, and they get only back maybe it's like $30 each. So they working one ulos is 1 week, one ulos, but in when Bu Samosir still young, she like make one ulos a day, so he get 7 because we take a picture and save the like diary of Ibu Samosir, and like she writing about how to thankful because I'm not feminist, but in Batak Toba, woman is always in the top in the family. So working, feeding, yeah, everything. So yeah, so Bu Samosir telling about it's very struggle. So yeah, since that day, we government help, absolutely yes, government help the weavers, but the problem is because ulos is quite difficult to make ulos like ikat. Ikat is from NTT. So ulos is we use ulos for ceremonial tradition, but ikat no. So it's quite difficult if we want to like cut ulos, make it smaller and shawl or something like that. It's quite difficult because somehow it's not suitable with the ceremonial. Because when you're going to what's mean for wedding, for birth, for funeral is quite different. So yeah, so Indonesian say, when I working with Indonesian government, they say like it's quite hard to manage Toba. I don't know why, but maybe the personality is too strong. But they have 12 years to like put all the thing in Toba. Now until nowadays is Danau Toba is one of the prioritas in Indonesia, but yeah, that's the problem. Oh yeah, so I will yeah, this one is so this is what else is maringin. Oh, salah, mangiring. Tian is originally from Batak. This is mangiring. So this is made for someone want to have a boys. Okay, it's not for women. If you're pregnant and then girls, and then they make a ceremony and give this for wish for boys, ya. Jadi in Batakness, man, gender is like a woman is nothing. Yeah, that's all. So this is mangiring. So this is like how we ask for God to give boy. Okay, boy. Ellie, this is boy. Oh my God. Yeah. And ini so this is called ragi hotang. Ini tuh. This is for wedding. So nobody will nobody will use this to funeral or something like that. This is only for wedding. So yeah, this is ragi hotang. So this is sibolang. Yeah. So this is for tudung we use like this for funeral. But this is for the widows or the men that laki duda apa sih? Widow. Oh, widow, yes. Duda mungkin lain ya namanya. So This is for funeral. So if someone die, the family will put like this one. Like this.
It's also model.
Christian also model and cry. So actually in Batak Toba they have like at least 32 kind of ulos, but since maybe almost 7 years, we try to ask someone who's like, what the meaning of the symbol inside the fabric. No one can answer it. So they will like say, this is from our mom, continue to be. And so I said, because the important thing is we try to, my curator, specialist, try to ask what is meaning. But no one can explain until now. We meet maybe more than 50 people, but no one. So yeah, it is what it is since the nenek moyang, nenek moyang apa ya Pak? Ancestor. Yeah, so yeah. In Batak Toba, it's quite hard when we want to like split this and two and then make it something fashion using to the mall. Yeah, okay, it's okay, but it's not common. And then that's why maybe in my opinion, ulos is quite different with ikat because ikat more easy to fashion clothes. Yes, like Ellie ikat isn't it? Yeah, yeah. So yeah, a bit like in ulos is quite hard, thing like that. Mana? Oh, so we come to maybe 10 places in Batak Toba to trying to be more close because last time I just only 5 and now we are starting to get 30 weavers. And the fact is almost they're not doing ulos again, but they're doing songket. Songket is different. Songket is like 2 pieces with selendang gitu Pak. Yeah, so this up and then yes, and then because it's more easy to sell and more expensive and easy to usually women going to gereja church will using songket. So yeah, nowadays not many, but they have we going to Tarutung. So this very interesting thing is in Tarutung they only make the ulos the small like this. They cannot more than this, bigger. No, because I said why? Because so the process of ulos like this, they're not strong enough to pull out, pull in gitu ya. So in Tarutung they only the size only like this, and then many people buy the thread in Tarutung. In Meat, one of the small village where the Ibu Lince and 2 women over here stay, they will make ragi hotang, only ragi hotang. So usually the weavers will be weaving the same ulos, only one kind of ulos. If in Meat they will ragi hotang, all the women will do ragi hotang. So in Pintu Batu, so this is the place. This is Balige. This is, you can see the situation of the village. So this is one of the Meat Balige. So they only make the ragi hotang. They never make the other. So see pig, very cute. This pig in Ibu Samosir house. So usually they will doing weaving in the house, front house, something like that. Because this is the my research is about ethnography. So we try to showing what the situation in the community. See, this is the place. This is the diary of Bu Samosir, but she said like, please just keep it because it's a lot of this one. This is Bu Samosir tell about all the story about the family and how struggling. Okay, maybe I will explain about this woman first. This is quite interesting. This woman called Analinca Berusihaan. Yes, this one first. She 62 ya now, 62. She never married, which is in Batak. Yeah, it's quite difficult if we got married. So means we don't have keturunan apa yang melanjutkan?
No children.
Yeah, no children. So she doing weaving since 30. And then when we asked why you didn't marry, they said like because I'm too busy to weaving and feeding my family, feeding the very sad about Lince. But Lince last time we going to Australia, and Lince very happy, and Lince said like, even I'm ready to die now because I'm going to Australia. Yeah. So yeah, Lince doing ragi hotang, not doing songket, not the other ulos, because she very concentrated about only ragi hotang. So yeah. So this one woman, Ibu Ademina. Ademina is one of the oldest. She also make ragi hotang, and yeah, we can see the when we going there, she explain about this is ulos for this is ulos. I have a lot of ulos, something like that. It's very good. I think she not rich, but she bukan rich ya Pak. Yeah, but yeah, they are the same. It's not wealthy, it's not, but they accept what they kenyataan hidupnya mah gitu. Yeah, the reality. So yeah, this for actually we have 5. One is Ibu Mastiar, but I've done aku nggak donate.
Yeah.
Yes, I keep it for myself because and then for women. But nowadays the woman try to be in the reality. So last time I thought we confirmed because the woman struggling to sell it, and the price is very cheap. But last my research January, we go to one of village we call Pintu Batu. Pintu Batu is near Lagoboti, which is in Sumatera Utara as well, in one village, and they make the ragi hotang, but it's very expensive. They sell it $450.
150
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah, one. So I said like, what the difference? Because Bu Lince is only 700 ribu,
Yeah,
$70, and then Pintu Batu can sell it for 50. And then they say like, so I'm not asking to woman weaver in Pintu Batu, but I asking Bu Lince and Bu Samosir, what is the differences between you and Pintu Batu? And they say like Pintu Batu is very good because they use benang 100. So it costs a lot. It's more expensive because the thread is different that they use. They use benang Palembang. So and the ulos from Pintu Batu, they can see the more realistic itu loh Pak, yang kayak lebih nyata itu gambarnya.
I think it's clearer. I think
Yeah. Yes.
More prominent.
more prominent.
Kalau lukisan itu yang realistis.
Like a realistic painting.
More realistic. Yeah. So yeah, that's the problem. This is in Pintu Batu. So this is also see So I said like, if you sell very expensive, it means you get a lot of money for sure. Yeah, but um, they say like it's like only by order. It's still hard. But I think like if you compare then Meat or Bulince and Bu Samosir is so the price so high. I just quite shocked when I said how much is price. I think like or maybe she will get a high price because maybe she thinking that I want to buy it. But I just come to asking and then do research. And I say like, oh okay, so yeah. So nowadays, the big problem is because there is fabric in Toba produce the ulos. So pabrik, ya kan Pak? Factory, factory produce the ulos. So the challenging is how the woman can be survive because the manufacturing sell is so cheap. But not all the ulos, but they sell like very cheap. It's like $7 each. And usually the ulos, they give it to the wedding or funeral. But that's the problem nowadays. The woman doing songket a lot rather than ulos because because the press and manufacturing coming. So we try to how to make the woman can be like sell the artwork, the ulos, and then they can survive. Because the end of the day, the woman will be doing songket, not ulos anymore. That's the reality because they need money, they need for life. So yeah, but we try to make some what is called ya Pak ya, bagaimana bisa ngajual lagi gitu ya.
Build the market.
How to
Yeah, to make the market. Yeah, build the market because they cannot sell it directly. They need to give to the third party, and then third party will be selling. And the third party sell is like twice price. So it's very sad to the woman. So the Invisible Maestro Encyclopedia, Woman and Ulos Tanah Batak, it's not about ulos, but it's about how they live, how they survive, how they try to be keep it the ulos exist, and how they respect the culture in Batak, and still we can get the very good quality of ulos by weaving. It's not more manufacturing fabric. So yeah, so Ellie said like this. What?
Oh, that was 5 minutes. So now I think we're down to like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Recommendation, so we can ask you lots of questions.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I think we as the younger generation, I'm not young anymore, but yeah, the middle lah. We need to do something to how to make this woman and ulos can be like exist, and the problem is the market. When the market they have a good price, they will making ulos again. But now the reality in Samosir, Pulau Samosir is the famous pulau island in Batak. Every single person say like, you go to Batak, they will thinking about Samosir Island, not the other island, because actually not Sumatra have like 7 otorita, but they only have now Samosir. In Samosir, the last our research in January, there's no anymore they making ulos. They making uis karo. So cross, they're not making ulos anymore. So we come to like 4 or 5 village, and they say like, no, we are making uis. So the difference is Batak Toba is ulos, Batak Karo is uis. No, when we said like, why you make it uis? Because a lot of people need uis. Because in Batak Karo, they didn't doing weaving again. So it's like Batak Toba make it. So I think when they have like a good market and uh up we want to someone to appreciate what the woman do. So that's why good market, good price, and maybe what they need. And actually they are very very gimana ya cara ngomongnya? Ya inilah berharga gitu ya. Pokoknya.
Yeah, I think she was trying to explain how important the women are in Indonesian culture and the I suppose position of the craft as well.
So yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dewi.
Yeah, and
so we do have some time for Q&A now. Dewi, would you like to sit at the front? Would that be, no, you want to stand?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
With Confir.
Confir can sit as well. Yes, please. Yes, you and Kathy after that.
Well,
Ibu Dewi,
yeah.
you talked about the public where they're making this kind of ulos, but it's not real ulos. If you look at it, can you tell apa perbedaannya?
Oh, bisa bahasa Indonesia. Perbedaannya dari yang
not everyone speaks Indonesian.
Oh, oke.
Kita bisa membantu sudah bagus.
Yang kan perbedaan antara yang
dibikin di pabrik.
Oh, oke. So, thank you for the question. So, if actually in the manufacturer the ulos will be like not too tight itu nggak jarang-jarang tuh apa benangnya.
It's not height. It's not as
yeah. So it's not like this. This is make it by hand. So yeah, the differences. And if you have for example one by weaving by hand and you meet the another maybe you go somewhere and see the ulos by manufacturing, you will know. Actually, it's quite different, and the thread also different. It's kasar apa gitu?
Rough.
Ya rough ya, lebih more rough. Terima kasih Ibu.
Kathy?
Thank you. That was very interesting. You were talking about the new ulos that these women are making.
Yeah,
and you
songket.
also told us that there are specific ones that are used in particular rituals and so on. And I'm just wondering, are they also used in exchange? You know, like ikat in NTT, where they're used in marriage exchange and so on. Does that include ulos? What happens to the old ulos? You know, after someone's worn it to the funeral or after it's been given at a birth of a new baby or something? What happens to them?
Yeah. So thank you. So yes, in Batak Toba we do the exchange in wedding as well. Yeah. But usually because maybe it's like if we are invite 100 people, they will give the ulos.
Oh, so the gifts to the wedding
the gifts,
guests.
yeah.
Right.
And then they will be usually they buy from manufacturer because it's so cheap. Yeah. Because the wedding ceremony is like a lot. Yeah, many people. Yeah. For itu terus tanya apa lagi tadi?
So misalnya kalau ada keluarga dari dua pengantinnya, apakah ada memberi ulos?
Yeah. So in wedding in Batak, the woman will give the ulos to the man.
The woman's family or the woman? Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's new one. So, and then they will keep it. But if when the guest coming and give the ulos, it's like a lot, they will sell it.
Oh, I see. So the family receives the
or they will give it the another wedding, it's like around the circle like that. But actually for the baby bird, mangiring jenis, the kind of mangiring, one of the best, maybe they save it like the best lagi hotang, they will keep it.
Okay.
But because it's like when wedding ceremony, they will get a lot.
Yes.
It's like literally a lot, they will sell it.
Yeah.
They will sell it, something like
I
that.
have been gifted someone's wedding ulos.
Okay.
Didn't realize it was everyone had one.
So the old ulos, they will keep it. Or last time in 2017, when the first time I go to Batak Toba, one of women coming with a lot of the old ulos. It's second hand, but it's so beautiful. So I buy it. It's like very cheap. It's like $10 less. $10 less. So it depends on when you're maybe the mediocre and wealthy family will keep it, and if if someone need some money, they will sell it. But nowadays is if you're going to Samosir, we call it Tomo, they have like store, they will sell it the second hand ulos, which is beautiful. I mean, like, I love the second hand because when new is more akaku itu stiff. Yeah. So if the second hand is more like you can use as a scarf. If I using in Yogyakarta, no one will be complaining. I use the for funeral into the mall. There's nobody complaining. So yeah. I love the ulos. But usually in one family they have like a collection of the ulos. Yeah.
Ibu Yuli setelah itu ya.
Yeah.
My name is Rizka. I'm also from Indonesia. I'm also Batak.
Oh, halo Mbak. Yeah.
Give you information. Similar, I'm taking research method class and studying ethnography also.
Okay.
So the interesting part is about how to make relationship to the community they will study. And then the teacher asked me, and I say we are an open community to be studied. And then she's kind of disagree because she thinks that Indonesia has some restriction also if we have research. So I would like to ask you, what is the challenge for you while doing ethnography in North Sumatra, in my culture? Because in my opinion, my culture is open to be studied because we are proud if someone or other community studied about us.
Yeah.
And probably for the second question, I would like to ask that I do believe that we should give appreciation to this woman. And what is the appreciation that we should give to this woman? Because we cannot refuse that the market can sell cheaper ulos than the one that they make. And the market is wide open because we have wedding ritual, like we say, death ritual, and also birth ritual that needs that kind of ulos. So it's kind of devastated, but well, there's a woman who can make ulos, but they cannot gain profit from that, while the market is wide open.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak. Marga apa, Mbak?
Sianturi.
Oh, Sianturi, ala Horas. So yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, it's true that it's not easy to come to the Batak community, but I do believe if we are coming with the very true feeling with kindness, and then maybe since the beginning, the woman Bu Samosir maybe thinking like this is kind of like small talk and something like that, what they can do, something, but I can prove it. I said to Bu Samosir, it's not easy. I can give you money. I can't give you money. I just give you the opportunity. Maybe we can find lah. And then I said like Bu Samosir, we are coming like a lot. We coming like maybe 10 times, and then make conversation with the husband as well. But Bu Samosir always feeling like, I trust you, Bu Dewi, I trust you. Even when we are making the video, she's crying when she trying to be explained about how the husband like abandoned her for 2 years, something like that. He's crying a lot, but I think this is the best thing that I ever had. Like, she trusts me, and the woman is trust me. Last time when it's not easy because last year we going to Melbourne, one of the husbands say like this one, Bu Dewi, next time if you bring my wife to Australia, please make sure they have a Wi-Fi connection, because a lot of people say like my wife in Australia will be maid, jadi pembantu. So it's
to be made into a housekeeper.
Housekeeper or something like that. So yeah, it's not easy. But I said like, oh, okay, Pak, because last time in Melbourne we have apartment, there's no Wi-Fi connection, so it's quite hard. The husband is feeling like, and people were talking about, it's like small, it's very small village, and people were talking all about they're going to Australia, something. Yeah, if you have a good heart, they will okay, but suddenly the gossip is coming. But I said like, okay, because last time I plan to bring ibu-ibu to go here, but the Indonesian funding is not coming yet, so yeah, it's postponed. But we're going to Perth maybe, Pak, yeah. So yeah, it's quite hard to come to Batak, but as long you coming with, but the first time Mbak siapa namanya? Mbak Sinturi. Yeah, first time I coming to MEAT in 2017. When I start coming and they say like, how much money you bring? Like that. So I just going back and I said, I don't want to coming again, because this is not about money. This is about the opportunity. I will can like publish and something like that. It's very disappointed, but that's happened. How much money you bring to buy my ulos? That's in MEAT, they have like maybe 3 small group of, so I said like, I don't want to go there again because it's good. I go with Backcraft, this opportunity, but we can chance the mind. They need money. So yeah, tadi tanya apa lagi, satu lagi Mbak? So yeah, I think last time I also talked with the woman, why you not put your sign? Because we are an artist in Yogyakarta, we are common with artists, and they put sign in or something symbolic in the ulos, so people know that you made it. So I said like, no lah. They said like, no need. We just only make something traditional, and because this is our job, no need to put that. So when I made the book and I gave it to them, and then they said like, this is your face, and so they're so happy. It's like simple as that. They never ask me for money, or when we are going to Melbourne, they ask me how much you pay me. Absolutely, Konfirkabu pay for all for 2 weeks they leaving the village, but they never ask about the money. I don't like people for the first time straight off the money. I don't want to, but they are very good. So yeah, they are happy when someone appreciate what they do. And yeah, like the book, invite to Australia. Last time they're very happy to going to Melbourne. Even they're not going to Jakarta, they're going to Melbourne. Yeah, they get nervous in the plane. We say, okay. They nervous to tap my key, but we are okay. Yeah, it's like 2 weeks. For them, fantastic. Because one of them, first time passport, and everything's going smooth. I confirm also like, okay, we try how, because it's like new passport, they never going everywhere. We bring loom, very bad loom, and we pass the immigration. We always like, oh, thanks God, it's very bad. It's like some wood in the backyard. And confirm say like, oh my God, Dewi, why is it so bad? And we pass the immigration. So yeah, I think this discussion also the way we can appreciate the woman. So yeah. Gitu Mbak Sianturi. Mau lihat teh. Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question. Are we close to time? Oh, no, we've got heaps of time. Okay, great. Excellent. Ibu Yuli, silakan.
Thank you, Ibu Ella.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Bu Dewi. It's really great opportunity to meet you in person, and then we are thanked as you try to keep our culture, especially Ulos. We usually talk about Tenun and everything else. So I'm thinking of because the stories of the woman and they feel like painful, and then how they're struggling in the life to keep the Ulos and everything. Do they teach the pass the culture to the young generation, like always also the female? Because develop the culture identity, it must be also for the young generation. I had experience because I supervised my PhD student on the culturally responsive teaching because my background is education. So we put the story of Ulos on the English teaching for the primary school students. And then we just realized in Batak, because my students from Batak, even the young generation didn't understand about the story of Ulos and everything. So we try to keep that Batak, the young generation should love the Batak culture, including the Ulos. So that's the way. Thank you.
Yeah. So nowadays in Batak, it's quite hard to young generation. So in 2018, I met John Katapan from University of Melbourne, ya Pak ya.
John Katapan.
Yeah. So John say like, Dewi, you need to make a movie. Do not make a book, because young generation didn't like to read anymore, but they love to watch movie. So I said, oh, okay, because at that moment I just want to make a book. But nowadays in Batak, actually they understand, but they not doing weaver, not much lah. But Bu Samosir didn't want the daughter doing weaving, but Ibu Mastiar, one of the women, wants to. So it depends on the family, because Bu Samosir say like, last time I don't even know siang jadi malam, malam jadi pagi doing weaving. So I don't want to my daughter feel that same. It's the same for me. But Ibu Mastiar say like, if nowadays I start to teach my daughters to make they have many ways to the step to make like mengkul, mangani. So maybe one of the part the daughter will be take, but it's quite different. Bu Samosir, absolutely. I got the long movie. Yes, you can see the commentary is 27 minutes maybe. So one of the every single woman will be tell about the story of the. But Bu Samosir didn't want, Bu Mastiar won. Ibu Lince, there's no daughter. So but nowadays I met some of family, they have like maybe 5 children, daughter, and they do all weaving. Jadi all the room is it's quite interesting, but it's rare lah nowadays. If they absolutely they do songket. Songket is like the most sellingable lah nowadays. It's so expensive. One songket 2 juta, 200 Australian dollar. So it's more easier. Compare than Ulos. Ulos make one Ulos is 1 week. They sell it only profit only $30. Yeah, kan?
60, yes.
They sell it 60 and then go back. How? So no one is like doing something in 1 week and then get money only. And they need to buy thread anymore. So it's they're very poor. That's why in my book, in my research, my curator is like show the house, show the bedroom, the kitchen, and the ethnography, say like something like that, because people need to know. Because when I do my solo exhibition in Salihara, Jakarta in 2022, one of Bataknis coming, like Mbak Sianturi coming, and then one of the men is the man. The man say like, no, the weaver is doing weaving because they love it, not for money. I said, who said that? Just come to the village and ask him. Oh my God. But I said like, Yeah, yeah, you need to be shamed. Yeah, because no one, you ask your mother. I said because he's like, I am Batak, I'm pregnant. Batak. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're doing weaving because they love it. Because yeah, but they need money. No, they're not. No, it's only because it's traditional. Oh, okay, just go back to your hometown and ask it. Yeah, because yeah, many people may be thinking like, yeah, ulos is one of a part of the traditional, and then the women do that because they love it. They keep the hobby. What kind of hobbies, they're struggling, but this invisible maestro and my picture and my picture, especially my picture, I want to people know the situation of Delhi where they living and everything about the house. It's a bad picture. I mean, like, it's poor, it's like struggling, but yeah, this is the reality. This is the reality of their life. They need to be appreciated.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Mbak.
Yuli dan Pak Budi.
Thank you very much for the presentation. So certainly this is not my area, but I'm interested to know more about traditional society strata within Batak. So in many Indonesian area, the society are having social strata differently. And that different strata actually influence the way that the production of a certain clan or a certain village producing. So for example, if you look at ikat within a clan, who actually doing what, who designing and who is still weaving, has been structured a certain way. And I just wonder that what happened in Batak is that this structure, so would you tell us about the old structure on how actually ulos was made, which one of the social strata that actually producing it. And so what happened is that this strata has been born in such a way that suddenly everybody need to buy or to have a higher production. Imagine that a long time ago, everybody just trading the ulos, no money involved. But that can be sustained. And what happened, in my opinion, is because of those strata. So the loss of those strata because of the evolution is actually affecting how ulos is produced. Could you explain this?
So in Batak, it's quite different with Bali. We don't have like strata social something like that, because in Batak every single like Raja Olon have their kingdom, their king. Yeah, Raja Olon have king. Christian can be explained about the Batak strata social. Come in. This is originally from Batak and Man. Okay. Strata sosial di Batak bagaimana? Bapak bisa translate.
Jadi di Batak itu ada sistem kekerabatan namanya Dalian Natolu.
Dalian Natolu. We call strata.
Dr. Eli can explain.
Yeah. Eli.
So it's a kingship system. And sorry, the name could you say the name of the kingship system?
Dalihan Natolu.
Dalihan Natolu.
Ya.
Itu apa, kekerabatan?
Ya,
sistem
kekerabatan. Jadi orang Batak itu memegang itu jadi panduan dalam adat juga.
Right, so it's guided by the cultural customs, the traditional customs.
Jadi satu orang laki-laki itu bisa menjadi boru atau bisa menjadi hula-hula. Namanya sistem kekerabatan itu ada 3, yaitu boru, hula-hula, dan dongan tubuh.
So these are 3 parts of the system.
Yes, dongan.
Man can be any one of those 3.
Yeah.
How do they become part of one of those 3, and what do they do?
Jadi kalau misalnya seperti aku Sihite. Aku marga Sihite.
Okay, Dian is Sihite.
Ya, dari klan Sihite.
From the clan
Sihite. Dan ibuku dari klan yang berbeda pasti.
Kutasoit.
Your mother is from a different clan.
Ya, Kutasoit. Dan Jadi kalau misalnya sistem kerabatannya itu marga ibuku adalah marga yang harus kami hormati.
Right. So your mother's clan is one that your father's clan must respect.
Ya. Dan klan ibuku yang memberikan ulos kepada kami.
So and Dian's mother's clan is the one that has given the ulos to their to his father's family.
Begitu saya lahir, keluarga orang itu memberikan ulos kepada saya, menikah juga, dan begitu juga meninggal.
When he was born, when he married, the ulos came from your mother's family.
Tapi nggak ada strata kayak raja-raja. Yang siapa lebih tinggi nggak ada kan di sana?
Oh, tidak, orang Batak itu semuanya raja.
Iya.
Everyone in Batak is a king.
They have a king, The man is king.
But you were saying that your mother's clan is higher than your father's clan? No?
No.
Just because your mother is right. So the mother's clan is the.
Tidak ada strata, tapi dalam adatnya bekerja seperti itu.
Okay, right. So that's the custom is that your father's clan respects your mother's clan. Your mother's clan gives the ulos to your father's clan.
But within a family, which one that traditionally has the task to build, to make ulos?
So who's secara adat atau
siapa yang
bikin ulos?
Ibu.
Ibu biasanya perempuan.
Woman.
Setiap keluarga.
Yes.
Itu tugas ibu.
Yeah, in the history, yes.
So in every family, it's the role of the women traditionally would be the role of the mother.
Yeah, because in the beginning, ulos is using for a blanket.
Right.
So every single family will be weaving for warming the family.
And then, so I think what Woody's asking about is how does that interact with the market or the trading of ulos once they were, so when they were made traditionally, were they given outside of traditional exchanges for births and marriages?
Maksudnya kalau udah dibikin itu langsung dikasih ke orang lain, cuma tradisi cuma.
Yeah. Actually, last time it just like. They're making the ulos to warm, and then they give it to in the ceremony, and all the But some place in Batak they very good in farming, Pak. Jadi ulos is not the one of the, they're not using ulos to make some money, but in the sininya gitu. So because the historical ulos is make it by woman to warming the family. It's like blanket apa namanya? Blanket itu gobar. So the first time the name is gobar.
Right. Okay. So it's a functional.
Originally
functional.
Yeah.
And a group here, not a class of weavers like we might have in other societies. So.
Yeah.
Thank you. How are we going for time, Sarah? I'm sorry. 15 minutes. Wonderful.
Oh, wonderful.
Silakan.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
My name is Hartati and I'm Batakese also actually.
Oh, orang Semarga apa Mbak Hartati?
Siman Khalid.
Oh, Siman Khalid.
Yeah. This is such an interesting what I want to ask is the first one. Can you explain a little bit about the methodology of your research and what's the purpose of this research? Is it what purpose? And my second question is, did you find something interesting like behind your story about this research? Like you mentioned before that
Samosir
is not rich or not wealthy, but she can send their full child to university, to talent and to Jakarta. And this is such I think this funding is such an interesting because, right, in Batakese, what I know, we have like a term, anakoki is anakoki do hamorawan. It means like my kids is my wealthy.
Yes.
So you have to have like luxury bathing place or bathing place like a toilet or something else in your house, but as long as you can send your kids to the school until they get uni. It's the wealthy things.
Yeah.
Because the latest research also said that in Indonesia, Batak clan have highest proportion of bachelors in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Rather than in Japanese. It's really shocking research, but so the proportion towards the clan in Indonesia who can send kids to the university. So we find that some kind of those information like that in research, why and so on.
Methodology?
Yeah, methodology. Yeah, I put here. Actually, I working so. To be honest, yeah, I do my bachelor and master in the Indonesian Institute of the Art, which is we are very strong in creating.
Yeah.
So to help me to find my good methodology, and I have one of the curator we call Mas Wahyudin. So he helped me since 2020 to make everything more clear for me, and which one book that I used to in my research methodology. One of it Sandra Nissan, because Sandra Nissan, one of the women come from Netherlands, but she have like a ton of Bataknese story in Leiden University. It's not opening, but in Leiden. So yeah, in this Richard ethnographic, yeah, absolutely. Because I'm a photographer, the methodology I will using like from the view and make the photos and something like one of the book of like apa bang namanya Balinese character, something like that. So one of the yeah, we use the photography as the methodology of the research.
Are you familiar with the Balinese character, Margaret Mead and
Yes.
Yeah,
you need to.
Yeah.
It's okay. So yeah, and you mentioned about in Bataknese the when your son or daughter going to uni is the wealthy. Yes, because every single place in Batak, Toba, they will put the photos of the graduate ceremony in the wall. Every single house, which is the position is not good, but they have it. It's always so yeah, but you know what, the interesting thing when we thinking that the important thing in their life is like send the daughter, the son to university, and they didn't care about the bedroom, the bathroom, and something like that. When we bring them to Melbourne, they feel like, oh my God, this is heaven. It's easy. Yeah, there's easy. The bathroom, the kitchen is so fantastic. Even they using the vacuum cleaner, very happy. Yeah, so in my opinion, they need the facility, but nowadays, like Bu Samosir is only weaving because she want to send the daughter to university and some, and now she stop. Bu Samosir didn't make weaving again. No weaving, but not for sale. So after we going back from before we going to Melbourne, she already stopped. Maybe after 2 years, and then we going to Melbourne, and then she said like, I will start to weaving again. Even the loom, the bed loom is from Bu Samosir to go Melbourne. So yeah. I'm agree because I'm also from Batak Karo. Yeah, my father also want to all the daughter or son is going get the high the education, because we are living in Aceh. It's very far from Jawa, but I go to Jawa. My sister going to Bandung. So yeah, it's wealthy lah from orang Batak. So yeah, you go here. You're Batak as well. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have any more questions in the audience?
Well, in that case, it's my time to. Did you want to say anything else before we close?
Yeah, this is the ulos is made by the woman, yeah.
Yes.
Yang here. So the mangiring is from Busa Mesir, and ragi hotang.
Maringi, I mean
This one, yeah, mangiring.
So
this is for boys, yeah. For boys. So
I need to know later.
This is also from Busa Mesir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for the exhibition, Busa Mesir make the three. One is di Tamaratur, but it's in Confir, donate.
Okay.
And this is Bu Ana Linca. So
and there's one more.
But so yeah, this one made by Ana Linca, but they coloring together in Australian Tapestry Workshop. So they learning how to make the natural coloring with Heather is sponsored all for funded by Confir Cabo. Thank you for Project 11 who support us. We come to Melbourne like 6 people. It's a lot of money. Thank you, Papa Confir. So yeah, this is the they made they weaving this in Toba, but they coloring in Australian Tapestry Workshop. But maybe it is like Busa Mesir or because I asked them to make one of each. So yeah, this is the ragi hotang that I mentioned before. But if I have the ulos, I will put in the water and make it
Softer.
make softer. What is not inilah tidak dianjurkan. Yeah, but because it's too hard to make it like
it's not soft yet.
Not soft
Not
yet.
warming yet.
Yeah, this is the soft. But that's all. I will put in the water and then yeah. Oh, aduh, mahasiswa mengerikan.
So from time to time we promote batik here.
Yes, 2022.
Last time you attend
Just
with
a couple weeks ago.
Very famous designers. So is there any famous batik designers that we can invite to promote more of this in Australia? Yeah.
Very good, Pak. Saya untung tidak lupa. So my concentration is, Pak, the designer from Indonesia, from Batak, yes. There's a man.
What's wrong with that?
They're going around the world. They're going to New York Fashion Week. They're going to London. But it's men, and they take the ulos from the weaver and then owned by their name. By their name.
Oh, they put their name on it.
Yeah, they put name on it. So the man is rich, going everywhere, but the woman always stay the same. That's the problem. No, I'm not a feminist, but this is the fact. We have Merdi Sihombing, we have Torang Sitoris. It's very well taught.
But we can invite the designers and the weavers.
The weavers.
Yeah. But do you have some kind of small medium enterprises for women and also cooperative, perhaps female cooperative?
Female cooperative? No. Just so nowadays we just like last time we doing exhibition in Melbourne. We just collect all the ulos from the weavers, and then maybe if last time we have Confir pay for all the ticket, we bring the woman here. So yeah, it's always like that. Torang Sitoris is very famous. He sell the ulos, maybe it's like 8 juta bisa satu. $800. Yeah. Oh yeah, we also last time in Melbourne we invite one of the Blancon's wife as an artist. She's not coming from Batak, but she made the but we can using Teresia's Tompur as well if you want. But I think if we use Torang Stories Merdi Sombing, I don't agree with that because Pak, the problem is they always coming up with the name. So the woman always like in behind.
The invisible maestro.
Yeah, the invisible maestro. But I think like if they pay quite a lot, it will be okay, fair enough. But no, it's not.
Sorry, if I can elaborate, Ambassador, the project we had in Melbourne is to use some of the old ulos that we bought that's broken and things, and transform it into an artwork, contemporary artwork. That's what Dian did. That was the first, and she is actually a fabric artist. So the idea is to.
So it's not for fashion.
No, it's actually become art, a bit like Sally Smart in NGV, that kind of style. So to actually find another way to present the old, especially the second-hand one, which people don't appreciate anymore.
Yeah. But if fashion, we can also, but I don't think we need to like invite the men. Yeah, because it's always like that. I mean, like the man is always come out put the name, and then the woman is nowhere.
I think that's probably an excellent way to position your research.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise with us.
Thank you for
Thank you all so much for coming. That brings us to the end of today's Indonesian Studies group. As I said earlier, we'll put a link to a publication of the documentary in an email that we'll send out through the ISG network, and I'll send it out through all of our networks, and hopefully you'll have a chance to watch the documentary if you haven't had a chance. The students have had exclusive preview already, but the rest of you will be able to watch this beautiful documentary. Thank you so much, and we'll see you for the next ISG in 2 weeks' time. If you'd like to join us then. Who's our speaker in 2 weeks?
Hilman Palawan and Robert Walker from the Lowy Institute in Sydney.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.